In simple terms, self-awareness is knowing oneself. This may bring to mind the popular Greek maxim, know thyself, which simply insinuates self-awareness. Self-awareness refers to being aware of one's unique self, independent of one's environment and in relation to one's environment. Self-awareness involves understanding the unique elements that make up oneself. In his book Emotional Intelligence, psychologist Daniel Goleman defined self-awareness as knowing one's internal states, preferences, resources, and intuitions. One can further describe self-awareness as being aware of what you are thinking, doing, and experiencing. It is as simple as this. If you had the opportunity to live with a replica of yourself for a day, would you recognize how you think? Your usual physiological and emotional response to varying situations? The kinds of judgments you make? Your abilities? And your preferences? At the core of self-awareness is self-focus. The study of self-awareness is believed to have been pioneered by Shelley Duvall and Robert Wickland in 1972, the year they proposed the self-awareness theory. They proposed that focusing on oneself as opposed to one's environment would enable people to compare themselves with their own internal standards. These standards will become the benchmark with which individual thoughts, feelings, and actions are judged. The disparity in a person's character and internal standard leads to dissatisfaction with oneself. This dissatisfaction will make that person constantly seek self-improvement or behavioral changes in a bid to match their internal standards. Self-awareness is considered one of the most important tools for self-control. Strategies for improving self-awareness. Since your emotions manifest quicker than rational thoughts, if you aren't aware of them and how you respond to them, your emotions will end up controlling you. This isn't always a bad thing. However, if your emotional responses cause discord in your life, then awareness is the first step to bringing them back under your control. What are some uncontrolled emotional responses? Explosive anger is a common, extreme emotional response. When people think of uncontrolled emotions, anger is usually the first to come to mind. It isn't the only one, though. Grief and sadness can become overwhelming and detrimental, leading to depression and the inability to move on with life. Even an emotion as enjoyable as happiness can result in extreme emotional responses. You may have met or might have been someone with very intense joy. That happiness can be so intense that it unnerves people around them and makes them uncomfortable. Being aware of how your emotions manifest and how they impact you and the people around you is the first step to being self-aware. The following methods and strategies are going to help you increase your self-awareness to boost your EQ. Stop labeling emotions as good or bad. One source of emotional stigma is the belief that there are good emotions and there are bad emotions. This is untrue. All emotions have evolved as part of who and what humans are from thousands of years ago. Every emotion has a purpose within society and for social interactions. Your emotions can even help you to pick up on danger and assist your survival skills. While it may not seem like you need to know about dangerous situations regularly, your emotions have a purpose. It is that purpose that you need to understand better. Meanwhile, it's critical to establish a healthy relationship with your emotions, all of them. Anger and grief are two emotions with the strongest stigmas and are most criticized internally and externally. A lot of cultures see anger as a negative emotion that should be suppressed. We already know that suppressing and bottling up emotions doesn't work. Grief is another emotion that gets a lot of negativity. There are gender biases surrounding grief, indicating that men who feel or express grief are somehow weak or less masculine. If someone doesn't recover from grief within a quote-unquote acceptable amount of time, their peers, coworkers, friends, and family members can become unsupportive and start to persecute the griever for not quote-unquote getting over it. It is impossible to control things that other people do, but you can start by letting go of these preconceived notions of good and bad emotions. All emotions are necessary. None is better or worse than the other. Liberate yourself from such limiting and harmful thoughts about some emotions being good and some being bad. This is one of the first and hardest changes you'll need to make for self-awareness. When you attach quote-unquote good and quote-unquote bad labels to your emotions, your mind will subconsciously resist the quote-unquote bad emotions. This might be an avoidance, denial, or other methods of trying to protect yourself from bad emotions. Unfortunately, that kind of enforced quote-unquote protection doesn't eradicate the quote-unquote bad emotions from your body's chemistry. Empower yourself by making your emotions your ally. It takes a lot of work to remind yourself every day that your emotions aren't good or bad. To remind yourself that your emotions are part of who you are and are necessary. Emotions developed as part of human evolution, and each emotion you experience has something to tell you. Put a notepad on the door, refrigerator, mirror, or another place you will see it every day if it will help. Write a reminder for yourself that emotions aren't good or bad. Putting this in your mind every day will help you to release the stigmas that surround emotions and give you the ability to begin listening to what your emotions are trying to tell you. When you acknowledge that all your emotions are important and necessary, your mind won't resort to suppression, avoidance, or denial, and then you can get your emotions working for you, not the other way around.